Hello everyone and welcome to listen to a book every day. I'm Zoe. Today, we're going to talk about the book Outthink the Competition. Subtitle: How to Accelerate Success in a Rapidly Changing World. The world we live in today is changing at an accelerating pace. How can we see this? Let's look at some figures, and you will get the idea. In the 19th century, American oil tycoon John D. Rockefeller took 46 years to earn his first $1 billion. In the 1980s, computer giant Michael Dell became a billionaire in just 14 years. Even faster, Bill Gates did it in 12 years. By the 1990s, Jerry Yang and his partners at Yahoo made $1 billion in only 4 years. eBay's founder shortened that record to 3 years. After 2000, the founders of Groupon, the American group buying website, cut the record down to 2 years. Of course, you might say inflation plays a role here, but one thing is certain: advances in technology and communication have shortened the time it takes for humans to create wealth. In the internet age, young people who seize opportunities can create wealth as long as they have a good idea and works daily to realize it through technical means. What's more, this wealth can easily surpass that accumulated by predecessors in the past. So how can we accelerate success in this rapidly changing world? This book is recommended with a preface by science writer Wan Weigang. In his preface, he writes that young people today need to meet 3 conditions to achieve success quickly. First, you must have real skills, which means talent and hard work. Second, you must be lucky enough to be in an environment that is particularly conducive to development. Third, you must be good at using the fast-rising channels provided by the modern world. The book Outthink the Competition we're talking about today tells you what these fast success channels are and what methods you can use to achieve your goals. Let's start with an example. Suppose you're driving in a heavy rain and see 3 people standing by the road waiting for a ride. One is an elderly lady who looks weak and frail. Another is a friend who once saved your life. The third is the person of your dreams, and this is a golden opportunity to impress them. But don't forget, your car only has 1 empty seat. Who would you choose to give a ride to? Any of the 3 seems to have a good reason. The old lady needs help, the friend deserves your gratitude, and meeting your dream partner might determine your lifelong happiness. So think again, who should you pick? The author offers a perfect solution in the book. Let the old lady take the car, give the keys to your friend and ask him to drive, while you stay behind and wait for the bus with your dream partner. Isn't that brilliant? It allows you to help the one in need, repay your friend, and spend time with your dream partner all at once. This dilemma is a test of your way of thinking. To come up with the best solution to such problems, you need to change your usual perspective and break away from conventional thinking to find a perfect strategy. Those ultra-successful people in history were good at using lateral thinking to seize fleeting opportunities and succeed in their fields. The author of Outthink the Competition is American journalist Shane Snow. He calls this problem-solving approach CHJang, literally wisdom path. He has written reports on this topic from different angles for Fast Company and Wired magazines, which had a great impact. Later, he joined a small group composed of people he had reported on high-tech enthusiast streets who jokingly called themselves ultra-successful people under 30. These young people gave up PhD degrees and high-paying job offers, lived on instant noodles every day, but worked on what they believed were world-changing projects. Being around these young people all day, Shane Snow couldn't help but be influenced. In the end, he embarked on an entrepreneurial journey himself. He co-founded a content trading platform, was named one of Forbes 30 under 30 innovators. In this book, he tries to explore the paths to accelerating success in this fast-paced world through real cases, summarizing these methods into 9 models. Now, let's take a closer look at the First trick to accelerate success: the ladder switching technique. Through comparison, Shane Snow found something very strange in American history. U.S. presidents are younger than members of Congress. He calculated that the average age of U.S. presidents when taking office is 55, while the average age of members of Congress is 62. Both are in politics, and becoming a member of Congress is usually seen as the first step on the road to the presidency. So why are presidents younger? Donald Trump, who was just elected president, was 70 years old, breaking the previous record for the oldest president by 1 year. The former record holder was Ronald Reagan, who was 69. The youngest U.S. president was Theodore Roosevelt at 42, followed by John F. Kennedy at 43. Oft 43 presidents who have taken office. Only 3 have gone through all 4 levels of federal public office elections step by step, while more than half have never served as members of Congress. This leads to a pattern: those who keep climbing the ladder of federal public office step by step find it harder to reach the top rung of the presidency. In contrast, those who achieved extraordinary success in other fields before running for president have a much higher success rate with the ladder switching approach and are more likely to achieve their goals. Let's look at what the fastest rising U.S. presidents did before taking office. Among the top 10 presidents ranked by history: Abraham Lincoln was a party founder. George Washington was a general. Theodore Roosevelt was a sheriff. Harry Truman was a judge. John F. Kennedy was a soldier and writer. Thomas Jefferson was a lawyer. Dwight Eisenhower was a general. Woodrow Wilson was a university president. And Ronald Reagan was an actor. Before running for office, they all worked hard in their careers, proving their leadership through different experiences. This made their candidacies highly convincing. It's like switching ladders: the more you switch, the faster you climb. They were all successful ladder switchers. In other words, the ladder switching technique is similar to the bigger or better game. This game originated at Brigham Young University in the U.S. because the university is an remote location, and nights are long and boring. Students invented a midnight door-knocking game called Bigger or Better. It saw treasure hunting game similar to Trick or Treat, played by older kids on Thanksgiving. Players are divided into teams, starting with a small item like a toothpick. They then go door to door, asking neighbors to trade for something bigger or better, knocking on doors at midnight to trade a toothpick. Many people roused from sleep are unwilling to bother and often refuse, but some kind neighbors agree, trading something like a piece of gum. That show the game starts. When they get rejected, they move on to the next door. Gum gets traded for a ballpoint pen, then for a sticky note, then for a magazine. Next, the magazine becomes a bouquet of flowers, the flowers a hat, and the hat a shirt. At the end of the game, players return to school and show off their spoils. Guess what happened? Some students got a stereo system, some a set of golf clubs, some a TV, and one group even dragged back Akano. Imagine what would happen if the Brigham Young University pranksters walked up to someone with a toothpick and directly asked for ADV. They'd definitely get yelled at. The author concludes that few people are willing to take such a big leap, but trading for something just a little bigger each time is achievable. Researchers call this the small win psychology. Each small victory boosts morale, motivating people to pursue another small win, and over time, these add up to a big success. In practice, this ladder switching approach often accelerates company growth. A Genome report on new technology companies states that startups that pivot once or twice can raise 2.5 times more funding and achieve 3.6 times higher user growth. Companies that can pivot switch their business models or products usually perform much better than those that stick to one path, especially when in an upward trend. So, in the past, we were used to climbing the ladder step by step, but in this rapidly changing era, it's not advisable to take the traditional path. Instead, we should think like ladder switchers and act like entrepreneurs, accelerate growth and success through switching. The second trick to accelerate success is to find a good mentor. As the saying goes, the master leads the apprentice to the door, but the apprentice's cultivation is up to themselves. Having a good mentor is crucial. We know Socrates was Plato's mentor. Plato tutored Aristotle, and Aristotle educated a boy named Alexander who grew up to be Alexander the Great. Chess prodigy Joshua Waitzkin met American chess master Bruce Pandolfini while playing chess in Washington Square, New York. As a child, with the master's guidance, the boy won a series of chess championships and set incredible world records at a young age. Of course, you need to be worthy of the master's attention, otherwise you won't gain their favor. Apple founder Steve Jobs, though visionary and bold, admired former football coach and Intuit CEO Bill Campbell most. Jobs took Campbell as his mentor to learn how to keep his mind sharp and clear. You could spend a lot of time studying on your own until you master a skill, but wouldn't it be better to convince a world-class practitioner to guide your practice and drastically shorten the time it takes to integrate and master it? What's most appealing about learning from a mentor is that mentors can help you skip grades. They have more experience and a broader perspective. An analysis shows that entrepreneurs with mentors raise 7 times more funding and grow 3.5 times faster than those without. That's the effect of finding a good mentor to learn from closely. Of course, this kind of learning can be a forced match. You need intrinsic motivation to learn, and the mentor must be genuinely willing to teach you. Only then can you build a mentor-apprentice relationship that guides you forward and accelerates your progress. The third trick to accelerate success is to leverage platforms. The platform you choose determines your development outcome. Famous American physicist Freeman Dyson believed that American schools teach children to drive on bumpy grasslands rather than on highways. He argued that kids don't need to memorize the multiplication table, they should learn to use calculators by the age of 6. He thought forcing children to memorize formulas and numbers was a crime. Teaching them to use tools is enough, and developing their thinking ability is the most important thing. Of course, his views were once seen as eccentric, and many parents and teachers disagreed. However, schools in Finland have already adopted this approach. They have streamlined their curriculum. Instead of learning abstract theories, students experience them through hands-on practice. The hallmark of their education is focusing on teaching students how to think, and Finnish schools allow unlimited use of calculators. Let's take another example. There was a female programmer named Samantha who wanted to develop a computer game. She noticed that university computer science departments were almost all male. This was because many boys loved playing video games between the ages of 10 and 14, so they learned programming early, but girls found it harder to learn programming. She thought it would be cool to develop a game that let girls learn programming while having fun. So, she created a tablet game called Daisy the Dinosaur, similar to Angry Birds, with gradually increasing difficulty. She integrated programming logic into the game. Through touchscreen gameplay, girls could easily learn programming. Previously, boring programming knowledge was hard to grasp. But this way, kids didn't have to learn code through tedious lectures or mandatory courses. They learned while playing a game. And what kid doesn't want to play? Learning through play achieves your goal. So the platforms we're talking about here can be tools, methods, highways of calculation, good companies, or even a favorable environment. Why do so many actors move to Los Angeles? Because of the platform. Why do so many up and coming fashion bloggers move to New York? Because of the platform. Why do graduates of Harvard Law School find jobs more easily than those from other schools? Because of the platform. Harvard Law School is much harder to get into than other law schools. But once you have that degree, you have a bigger lever of recognition. That's the charm of a platform. The fourth trick to accelerate success is to catch the wave. When people say you're lucky, they mean you were in the right place at the right time. Opportunities need to be sought and seized. Shane Snow summarizes 2 ways to catch waves. One is to work hard until you're exhausted, like paddling frantically in the water to chase the wave. The other is to recognize the signs, spot the wave in advance, and drift effortlessly to the best position. It's like surfing, you need the experience to spot the wave. Here, Shane Snow teaches us a method. If you can't judge the wave, just keep an eye on the industry leader and adopt a fast follower strategy. Throughout history, many successful large companies have been followers in their fields. We all know General Motors was a fast follower. It overtook Ford, the pioneer of the automotive industry, in the early 1910s. Google and Facebook also overtook pioneers in their fields. Google surpassed Alta Vista, and Facebook surpassed MySpace. Researchers at the University of Southern California published a report studying the development of 500 brands across 50 product categories, including toothpaste, VCRs, fax machines, and chewing gum. They found that only a little over half of the companies that started with a product maintained market leadership after 5 years, and only 11% of first-mover companies maintained long-term market leadership. In contrast, follower companies that entered new product markets and gained market share had a failure rate of only 8%. This is because first movers have to blaze a trail in the market, while latecomers can follow in their tracks. Fast followers can benefit from the bandwagon effect. That's why so many innovative companies and entrepreneurs seize opportunities to overtake incumbents, break the rules, and defeat many established companies. Remember, when you can't yet judge the tide, aim for the industry leader and wait for your chance to overtake that your shortcut. The fifth trick to accelerate success is to find super connectors. Imagine you're at a suburban party surrounded by fashionable people, but you don't know any of them. Just then, a friend arrives who knows everyone at the party. They offer to show you around and introduce you to the people you should know. Almost effortlessly, you soon meet a dozen people. That friend is a super connector. In real life, which is easier, making friends with 1,000 people one by one, or making friends with one person who already has 1,000 friends? When spreading news, is it faster to go door to door, or to broadcast it to thousands of households in an instant? This is the super connection mindset. Shane Snow talks about directly tapping into hubs with wide communication capabilities, then using them to achieve large-scale connections. For example, the success of American director J.J. Abrams is a classic case. Abrams was obsessed with making movies. He wrote 9 screenplays, but all were rejected by film studios, making him doubt his talent. Later, he found a writer friend named Gil Mazur-Sky, whose father was a well-connected film director. Abrams proposed co-writing a screenplay with Gil, then asked Gil to use his father's network to get the script into the hands of influential people. The plan worked. His script became his first film, taking care of business. Starting from screenwriting, Abrams went on to direct hit TV shows like Alias and Lost, and films like Mission Impossible 3 and Star Trek. He even got the chance to collaborate with Steven Spielberg. Now, he's one of Hollywood's shot test directors, having helmed Star Wars, The Force Awakens. This is a typical example of using connections to achieve success. So make friends with people who have extensive networks. Do whatever it takes to make them your super connectors. Interestingly, after Abrams succeeded, he was happy to become a super connector for young people. He knew exactly what young people needed, and began using his reputation to help unknown but talented screenwriters, directors and actors climb the ladder of success quickly. Another example, Writer Jack Canfield wrote a new book, Chicken Soup for the Pet Lover Soul. Here show he found a super connector. He partnered with a national pet supply retailer to offer a health price book coupon to every customer who bought $50 worth of dog food. These coupons were distributed across the U.S. with the company's dog food, and pet owners bought 500,000 copies of the book, making it the fastest-selling book of Canfield's career. That pet supply retailer was his super connector. Super connection is an elevation of traditional relationship building. It requires you to provide services not only to the super connectors you meet but also to members of their networks, ultimately helping everyone's business thrive and achieving a win-win situation. The sixth trick to accelerate success is to create momentum. Let's look at a classic case. On February 3, 2013 at the Super Bowl Stadium, officially called Lucas Oil Stadium, the Baltimore Ravens faced off against the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl, the championship game of American football. It was the highest-rated TV broadcast in the U.S. that year. After 2 hours of intense play, the Ravens led 28-6 at the end of the third quarter. Suddenly, the stadium lights went out without warning. Stadium staff rushed to repair them to resume the game as soon as possible. Players, coaches, fans and TV viewers waited in the dark for 34 minutes. But during the blackout, Oreo posted a picture on Twitter, a dark room illuminated by a single cookie, with the caption, "You can still dunk in the dark," while waiting for the game to restart. 15,000 bored fans retweeted the image, and another 20,000 liked it on Facebook. This silent post Med Taylor made for Oreo, turning the blackout into a promotional opportunity. We all know Oreo consists of 2 chocolate cookies with astroped pattern, sandwiching a layer of frosting. It tastes good on its own, but even better when dipped in milk. This sandwich cookie, invented in 1912, has created many promotional copywriters for different senior iOS. It cleverly leveraged the momentum generated by the Super Bowl blackout, making the ad a hit. The ad later won numerous awards in the advertising industry, outperforming many expensive TV ads that night. In fact, Oreo had been posting "You can still dunk in the dark" images on Twitter for 6 months before the Super Bowl, but they had gone unnoticed. For a Fortune 500 company like Oreo, posting a tweet isn't just writing 140 words and hitting send. Every message goes through multiple rounds of review by the company's social media manager and various bosses before being published. But despite the rich content it posts, Oreo's tweet approval process can be completed in minutes. That's why it was able to post the new tweet during the Super Bowl blackout, before the lights came back on, attracting significant attention from consumers and the media. The blackout was momentum. Catching momentum means seizing opportunities. This requires you to be fully prepared at all times, never slacking off. When momentum arises, respond promptly. Success is like a lightning bolt. It strikes when you least expect it. Your job is to keep that momentum going. The seventh trick to accelerate success is to learn to subtract. After graduating from college, Jane Chen joined at a nonprofit organization to help with newborn care in third world countries. She found that premature babies weighing only 1 kilogram in the U.S. could be cared for in hospital incubators until they fully recovered. But in poor countries like India and Pakistan, most premature babies don't get such care, and millions die before their first birthday. At the time, an incubator cost $20,000 to $40,000, not including electricity costs. Chen and her 3 colleagues discussed, poor countries need incubators, but they can't afford that price. Could they make a keeper glass box? The box they wanted to make not only had to cut costs, but also be easy for mothers to use. They discovered that the key to making an incubator is maintaining warmth, keeping it clean, and monitoring vital signs like heart rate and breathing, and this could be done for far less than 20,000. Following this goal, they developed something called an embrace nest, a dense insulated bag with 2 compartments, one for the baby and one for a heating pad. The heating pad takes 30 minutes to charge and provides warmth for 4 to 6 hours. Even mothers with the lowest literacy levels can learn to use it. Most amazing lie. The production cost of this device is only $25. Sometimes, bigger isn't better. Sometimes, electronic devices have many functions, but 80% of them are useless. In the incubator project, Chen and her colleagues used subtraction. Simplification often becomes the key to moving from good to great. Disruptive innovative products are main lie, characterized by cost savings, including time or money. Simplification is the key factor behind the success of every disruptive product. For example, email is not only cheaper but also simpler than postal mail. USB flash drives are not only cheaper than CDs but also more portable. Cloud storage is even better. It eliminates the need for portability altogether. People who achieve extraordinary success in the world are often those who focus on just a few things and stick to them for decades. The more things you focus on, the more scattered your energy becomes, and the harder it is to achieve excellence. So if you want to soar to great heights and accomplish something remarkable, you need to eliminate the unnecessary and keep the essential. As the saying goes, the great way is simple. In addition, the author mentions 2 other tricks to accelerate success in the book: rapid feedback and 10x thinking. Rapid feedback is used to explore the line between making mistakes and not, because all great successes are accompanied by mistakes along the way. 10x thinking teaches you to aim for big undertakings. If you are going to do something, big undertakings attract big investors, large amounts of capital, top consultants, and elite talent, ultimately leading to great achievements. That's all for our introduction to Outthink the Competition. Let's summarize the tricks it teaches us to accelerate success in a rapidly changing world. The first trick is the ladder switching technique. The second is finding a good mentor. The third is leveraging platforms. The fourth is catching the wave. The fifth is finding super connectors. The sixth is creating momentum. The seventh is learning to subtract. The eighth is rapid feedback. The ninth is 10x thinking.